Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Jackson Show. I'm your host, Jackson Solomon, and today we're going to be breaking down the best from this weekend of football. So, as always, please like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get straight into it. We have got a great weekend of college football. I feel like the NFL, everyone just got blown out, So it wasn't really some good matchups in the NFL because everyone just got blown out. But we do have a couple of good college football games. We start in Oklahoma. Norman, Trinidad Chambliss, and Ole Miss would be heading into Norman, coming off of a loss to the Georgia Bulldogs. Ole Miss would start off the game with a field goal. Oklahoma answered with a field goal. Then Kewan Lacey was a big component of the Dogs' win last week. Touchdown run. Then John Mateer, big-time touchdown pass to Isaiah Satigna III. I hope I'm saying that right. Ole Miss got a safety. They got a field goal. So it's 15-0. Kewan Lacey, another rushing touchdown, 22-10. Tate Sandel making it 22-13. Another field goal from Ole Miss. Oklahoma touchdown. Actually, back-to-back Oklahoma touchdowns. They'd go for two, wouldn't get it. So it's 26-25. We enter the fourth. Touchdown pass for Trinidad Chambliss. They went for two, didn't get it. And then a 37-yard kick would make it an 8-point game. This was a great game. I think the biggest takeaways from this game was I think a lot of people are writing off Oklahoma's season. Their schedule coming up is going to get tougher. They got Alabama, Missouri. They face LSU at the end of the season, which honestly could be a trap game for LSU, and Tennessee this week. Their schedule is very tough, yes, but it's a very winnable schedule. I think the defense in this game just got bested by Lane Kiffin and his offense. They looked a little bit like Georgia and how they looked at the beginning of the game. I think the positive is, hey, we stopped Trinidad Chambliss. We didn't let him hurt him. We didn't let him hurt us too much. He had 20 for 44, had the 315 passing yards, which is over the top, had the touchdown, which isn't great, plus 27 rushing yards for their leading rusher, or 27 carries, 78 yards for their leading rusher. Lacey had 2 touchdowns as well. Offensively, John Mateer's played better every week since he's come back. This game, though, maybe the momentum wasn't in your favor. At the end of it, just couldn't find ways to pick up key third downs. And so that eventually ended up being the biggest factor in a game where it really could have went either way. So Ole Miss wins 34-26. I'm not writing off Oklahoma's season just yet. I think 2 out of those 3 games are still winnable. I look at Tennessee and I look at Missouri. Those are 2 games you can win. I think LSU right now, they just fired Brian Kelly, which we're going to talk about in a moment. That's also a winnable game. So 3 out of the 4 winnable games. I don't know how they're going to play against Alabama. That's a giant question mark. The game's in Tuscaloosa. So that's question mark for me when I look at that. It's whether Oklahoma can beat Alabama, but I think OU has a pretty winnable schedule the rest of the way through, outside of maybe that one game. So 3 wins, finish 9-3. Disappointing end to your season, but you're still up there, one of the premier teams in the SEC. All right, this next game, a little disappointing. We're talking about A&M LSU. The scoring started with a Marcel Reed 40-yard touchdown run to put A&M on the board first. Then Garrett Nussmeier passing touchdown to Trey'Dez Green. KC Concepcion caught a receiving touchdown from Marcel Reed. Then a safety for LSU. So it's 9-14. Touchdown run for LSU. They missed extra points, so it's 15-14. Then a field goal before the half made it 18-14. A&M. LSU's on top. Then second half, this is where the explosiveness comes in. Marcel Reed, touchdown run. Punt and return touchdown from KC Concepcion. Another Marcel Reed touchdown pass. Nate Borkhiker, 1-yard touchdown pass. 1-yard touchdown run, excuse me. They get 42-18. And then Jamarion Morrow with an 11-yard touchdown run. Another A&M touchdown. LSU would finally get points. The backup quarterback, Michael Van Buren, threw a touchdown pass to Kyle Parker. Final score, A&M 49, LSU 25. I'm just going to be frank with you. I look at the box score. Texas A&M scored 5 straight touchdowns in the second half. This was a close game in the first half, and adjustments were made by Mike Elko and A&M. And that's why I think Mike Elko is just a good coach. I don't think he's going to leave the Aggies anytime soon. He left Duke to come to A&M, and although a lot of spots are opening up, especially one at LSU, I don't think that Mike Elko is going to head into a position. I haven't even heard anybody talk about stuff like that, but I don't think that he would leave and go to LSU or Florida or Penn State. So now we'll look at LSU's side of things. Well, LSU, we talked incredibly about their defense, and this has got to be one of the biggest lapses of football I've ever seen, because it's so shocking to me, because it's like LSU's defense kept them alive, dude. Like, LSU they weren't really playing up to the expectation. The expectation was they would be the best team in the SEC, or one of the best teams in the SEC. Their defense has kept them in games, and their offense has been played mediocre, but they've gotten away with it because of their defense has been keeping them in games. Their defense got a bomb dropped on them in the second half by A&M. And then the offense that can't really move the ball down the field, it showed where you only scored 25 points. They only converted 2 third downs the entire game. It's been an issue with Brian Kelly. It's either his offense or his defense, but they cannot play as a complete team. And it's been a while since we've seen LSU play as a complete team. I'm just as shocked as anyone. This is actually, because it was a close game, and then I turned it on, and then it was not a close game. Right? Man, 5 straight second half touchdowns. That's crazy to me. Never seen that before. Oh, my goodness. And then A&M, I look at A&M, they're the real deal. Rest of their schedule, rest of the way through, I mean, that's pretty easy schedule. I mean, their schedule looks like Indiana and Ohio State, where they're a lock for the SEC championship game as long as they keep playing good football. Mike Elko's a good coach. Missouri this week, South Carolina, Samford, FCS Sanford, and then Texas, who, let's be honest, 1 foot in the grave. They're already gone. So yeah, this is basically A&M's making the SEC championship game. Got to get around Missouri, got to get around Texas, but I think they have a really good shot of making it. Plus, the defense is just incredible. Incredible. Sunday in the NFL, we had a couple of good games. I didn't really talk about one game that was really... It's just... There were other games that I really wanted to talk about. I'm going to start with the Texans and the Niners. The Texans before this game were 2-4, and San Francisco, despite all the injuries that they had, were 5-2. So, 2 straight field goals to open up the scoring for the Texans. It's 6-0. Jaden Higgins, touchdown reception from C.J. Stroud. And then following that, a Ka'imi Fairbairn field goal. Make it 16-0. And then 49ers finally get on the board with a touchdown from George Kittle, his first since coming back from the injury. But the Texans continue to pour on. Xavier Hutchinson with a touchdown reception. Make it 23-7. 49ers would get a touchdown. Jake Tongs, game winner, against the Seahawks, excuse me. Caught the touchdown pass. They went for 2. They got it, 15-23. Texans would notch in a field goal, and they'd play good defense, keep the Niners off the board for the rest of the game. Final score: Texans 26, Niners 15. The Niners are getting healthy, but this was just a bad game offensively for San Francisco. I look at the numbers: 3 for 9 on third down, went for it on fourth down, didn't get it at all. They had good red zone drives, but they weren't in the red zone very much. That's how good the Texans defense played. They had under 300 yards of total offense. Mac Jones had 2 touchdowns, but interception. McCaffrey, 8 carries for 25 yards, and he was their leading rusher. The struggles for the Niners are very clear, and I think that this is a bounce-back game for the Houston Texans because it kind of shows that, hey, Houston, they're playing bad, but guess what? They still have the ability to show up and show out. Big-time win for Houston. Honestly, this could have been upset of the week. I'm not going to give it to upset of the week because there was one game. I'm sure we're all thinking that was just much better. But still, little upsetting. With the how do I say this? Little upsetting with the upset, and apparently the Texans were favored by 3.5. I wouldn't say that the Niners defense played bad, because there were situations where the Texans just kicked field goals. They were 1 for 5 in the red zone, and Fairbairn got a lot of work in on Sunday. The offense, though, couldn't move the ball down the field. They struggled on third down, like I already mentioned. That's not going to get it done. Last game I'm going to recap before we get into our weekly awards was Aaron Rodgers' revenge game versus the Packers. Good game. Great game to watch. The game, let's see. So the Steelers get the scoring open with a field goal, then a great opening drive for Pittsburgh, but they only end it with a field goal. Then Tucker Kraft, touchdown reception from Jordan Love, 7-3. Chris Boswell banging in back-to-back field goals, making it 9-7. DK Metcalf at the end of the half catching a receiving touchdown, make it 16-7. And then the second half, and oh boy, Stephen Williams catching a touchdown pass from Jordan Love, make it 16-14. Close game. Another Chris Boswell field goal, 19-14. Then Packers turn it on. Josh Jacobs rushing touchdown. 2-point conversion good. Tucker Kraft with a touchdown reception. McManus field goal. It's 35-19. Aaron Rodgers gets a touchdown pass to Roman Wilson in the final 2 minutes of the game. Did get the 2-point conversion. The final score, 35-25. Pittsburgh. I'm going to be real. I am not a Steelers fan. Although a lot of my attention does go to the Steelers because of I know people that are Steelers fans. Not really happy with the performances we put out there the other day. They've played one divisional game. They lost. They played 2 divisional games. One was on the road, they lost. One was at home, they won. It's just like the Steelers, they have this up and down stretch. Their defense, this was the Texas A&M game all over again. Except it's the opposite. The Steelers' defense has not played to the expectation that we thought it would. Jalen Ramsey, Joey Porter Jr., Darius Slay, Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, all those players, Patrick Queen, all those players have not played up to the expectation. And so we criticize the Steelers' defense, and rightfully so, because they have struggled to play to the expectation, which is that they would be a top 5 defense in the league with all the superstar names that they have. But I feel like the Steelers, they're showing their age. Slay is up there. Ramsey. Cam Hayward might be the oldest defensive player that I know of on the Steelers. They're all up there in age. Maybe they're losing a little bit of talent. I don't know, but the defense has been good. I'm glad Tomlin kind of stepped in defending his guy because he's like, hey, we're not going to take that criticism from you guys. You guys are just the media. I like that, okay? But they got to step it up, right? And for the Packers, they played, I was talking about this earlier today with a couple of buddies of mine, where the Packers have played good offense these last couple of weeks. It's all about consistency. Can they stay consistent in this aspect? Can they continue to play as well as they have and when the NFC North is like the biggest question mark? They have to play consistently. They have to play as good as they have on offense as they have on defense. The defense I haven't really had a problem with. I said it since week 1 where their defense is going to be a problem, but energy match energy. The defense has to play to the same level as the offense and vice versa. Or, excuse me, the offense has to play the same level of defense and vice versa. Right? And the Steelers, 1 for 10 on third down. You got to convert on third down. Packers weren't great either. They were 5 for 12, but they converted more third downs than you. They didn't convert 1 third down. So, it's time to hand out our weekly awards. As always, we hand out our weekly awards for College Game of the Week, Comeback of the Week, Upset of the Week, and Blowout of the Week. For College Game of the Week, we go to Norman. Number 8, Ole Miss. Number 13, Oklahoma. High-scoring game. You love to see it. The other nominees for this were USF versus Memphis. Upset game there. We're going to talk about that. And Virginia versus North Carolina, which was kind of rooting for UNC. It was a close game at the end. Belichick has not won a conference game yet. I feel like it's going to get close. If Deion Sanders can do it, you can too. Although there are, well, not really. I mean, the ACC and the Big 12 aren't that different. The Big 12 is more chaos. I feel like the ACC is more structured, but that's a discussion for another time. For College Comeback of the Week, we go to Memphis. They upset South Florida, who's the number 18th team in the country, and they were rolling offensively. But a fourth quarter comeback for Memphis. They defeat USF. They surge back into the rankings. They have 1 loss. They currently, I think, have the best odds to make it as a group of 5 school. If they don't make it, it'll probably be someone else from the American. Tulane, Navy, they play in the conference championship game, or at least they're the 2 at the top. South Florida, they're behind Memphis with 2 losses. The first one in conference play, so the American conference winner is probably going to make the playoff. I don't have any nominees for that one. Upset of the week goes to Wake Forest, SMU. Wake Forest struggled a lot in this game. They didn't play really good defensively. They didn't play good offensively. Yet SMU struggled more, and they lost. And they were talking about it on game day where, okay, for Miami to get back to the top of the conference, Georgia Tech, SMU, Virginia, Louisville, all 3 of those teams have to play a bad game. 2 of those teams did. SMU lost, and Virginia played a close game to UNC. And like I said before, if they play a close game, if Deion Sanders can win a conference game, you can too, Bill. I believe. You just can't beat Virginia, unfortunately. Blowout of the week goes to Indiana versus UCLA. Man, they hyped that game up so much. I can't lie, I was also on the bandwagon. UCLA had come in, they only lost the 1 conference game. They had not lost under their new interim head coach. So, yeah, the upset, though, over Penn State kind of put them over the top, put them on the map. And then they did it again, which was kind of like, oh, they can do it more than once. And then Cignetti said, we're shutting it down. Not going to be upset by a team that has 4 losses. Okay, College Player of the Week. Our nominees are Joey Aguilar from the University of Tennessee. 20 for 26, 396 yards, 3 touchdowns. He finished in 3rd place. Finishing in 2nd place was Haynes King. Georgia Tech blew out, I forgot who they blew out. I think it was not who did they blow out? I can't remember. So, but I can't remember who they played, but they blew them out. Haynes King, 25 for 31, 304 yards, 3 touchdowns through the air, 12 carries, 91 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the ground. The only reason I give it to the player I have is just because of kind of what they did and who they did it to. That was Marcel Reed of Texas A&M. He wins College Player of the Week, 12 for 21, over 202 yards, passing it, 2 touchdowns, 13 carries for 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns as well. He did have 2 interceptions, but that was just like they scored 4. No, scratch that. They scored 5 straight touchdowns in the second half against LSU's defense. This man had 4 of them. That's kind of crazy. Moving on to the NFL awards. NFL game of the week went to Jets versus Bengals. It was the closest game of the week. I feel like a lot of teams lost by double digits, including the 2 games that I talk about, which, I mean, it was a 1-point win. Jets, first win of the season. Proud for Aaron Glenn. Or excuse me, not proud of Aaron Glenn. Happy for Aaron Glenn and Justin Fields and Breece Hall and everybody on the Jets. Including Rex Ryan, who is not a coach for the Jets, but I would say he's still part of the Jets organization. I still associate him with the New York Jets, anyways. Good one for New York. It was the game of the day. It was the best game. Every other team lost by double-digit points. Comeback of the week. I give it to Packers, Steelers. Packers fourth quarter comeback. They put up a big number versus Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers, and so far, the Steelers weren't able to come back. So that was, I gave that comeback of the week. Upset of the week, have to go with the Dolphins and the Falcons. I didn't expect, really, the Dolphins to kind of have... I didn't expect the Dolphins to play well at all. As a matter of fact, I kind of expected Mike McDaniels to not be the head coach of the Dolphins at this point, but he's bounced back and recovered, and I don't understand what people are talking about with Tua and his eye. I don't get it, but yeah. Apparently Tua had one eye on Sunday, so there's that. And then blowout of the week, I give it to Bills Panthers. These were 2 teams that honestly were evenly matched. Good offenses, good defenses. Bryce Young didn't play, Andy Dalton started. And the final score was Bills 40, Panthers 9. So there's that. Player of the week nominees, finishing in third place, is Breece Hall, 18 carries for 133 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had a passing touchdown and 2 catches for 14 yards total. Big contributor in the Jets' win over Cincinnati with his 3 touchdowns. Second nominee is Daniel Jones, 21 for 29, 272 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and of course he had 1 carry for 4 yards. But there was one player that played his best this week, despite his team maybe not being at its greatest, and that was Drake May. 18 for 24, 282 yards, 3 touchdowns, 7 carries for 50 yards. He wins NFL Player of the Week for this week. I give it to Drake May because I feel like the way that May is played has been really good. MVP candidate so far. And the other thing I want to talk about with Drake May is he got sacked 5 times by Myles Garrett. He didn't let it deter him. He was able to come out and ball out and do his thing. I considered C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love, but those 2 players had near 300 yards. I think with too many attempts, what Drake May was able to do, 18 total passes. He went over 200 yards, and he still had 3 touchdowns. That, to me, is more impressive. And I can't remember who it was. Shannon Sharp. He was like, he's making the team around him better, which is something that I 100% agree with. Let's go into the top 10s for both the college and professional ranks. Starting in college football, the rankings look a little bit like this week. We have Vanderbilt at 10. Georgia Tech is 9. Oregon is 8. BYU is 7. Ole Miss is 6. Georgia's 5. Alabama's 4. Texas A&M is 3. Indiana's 2. And Ohio State is 1. And, of course, for the NFL, couldn't do it without them. Let's see here. Give me a moment. It is loading right now. For the NFL, top 10, Broncos are 10. Patriots are 9. Chiefs are 8. Buccaneers are 7. Bills are 6. Packers are 5. Eagles are 4. Rams are 3. Lions are 2. And Colts are 1. You want to hear more about the teams or my rankings for both the NFL and college football? Tune in tomorrow and Thursday. Tomorrow's college. Thursday's the NFL. I know that's a little backwards, but it doesn't really make sense. But that's just kind of the way I roll with things. But today was another great episode. I thank you guys so much for listening to the show. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for listening to The Jackson Show. And as always, bring a friend.